Ride Royal Blue for 2018's Honda Pioneer Takeover. It's gonna be a blast. So for 2018, one thing I wanted to be able to do with the Appalachian Mountain Riders is be able to travel around to ATV parks, experience them for the first time, and bring you guys along for the ride. So now that spring has finally got here, the snow has melted, we're in t-shirt weather, we loaded up the Pioneers into the toy hauler, we hit the highway, and we headed the whole way down here to Tennessee to Ride Royal Blue ATV Resort. Now Ride Royal Blue here has pretty much any kind of trail condition you can want, whether you want muddy, sloppy mud holes to play with your big mud tires in, more rocky technical terrain, or if you just want wide open dirt gravel roads that you can just leisurely pace. But although they have a wide variety of trails, that is not what brought us here to Ride Royal Blue this year. But what brought us here was the Honda Pioneer Takeover put on by the Honda Side-by-Side Forum and HondaSideBySide.com.
The forum started in February 2013 when I heard about the release of the Pioneer 700. The biggest reason was just to keep up with my hobby. I enjoyed riding four-wheelers, kind of got away with it with school and life and family, trying to get back in it to keep tabs of things. The first Pioneer Takeover was not actually our first ride. Our first ride was spring 2014. A bunch of guys said, "Hey, y'all want to do a group ride?" We said, "Sure." We threw a date on the calendar, circled it, and we all met at Windrock. Second year, we met at Windrock there too. We had some guys talking about how difficult the trails were because we had a lot of Jeeps involved too that weren't part of our group. Royal Blue, we're at now, come over here and tried that out and enjoyed it. It was more four-wheeler, dirt bike, UTV oriented, no Jeeps hardly. Trails were nice, trails were groomed, and they groom them all the time. So 2014, 2015 was at Windrock, 2016 was here, 2017 was here, and this year, 2018, we're here again. 2016, we probably had about 30 riders. 2017, we probably had about 100 riders and about 40 machines, 40 to 60 machines. And this year we're pushing 400 riders and 168 machines. The future of the Pioneer Takeover, I really never wanted it to be an event. I wanted it to be a ride. But to continue to grow, it's going to have to turn into an event. Today we're practicing with some stuff this evening. We had our first vendors set up this weekend. We had 3 vendors set up, and we had the local Honda group here. Next year we're going to have to get vendors involved. We need vendor support. We can't continue to grow without help from the outside community, the accessory community, and mostly the riders. The riders are what made all this possible. Honda Side-by-Side Club needs everybody's support just to continue to grow. We appreciate everybody coming, checking out the forum, coming there and liking posts and getting involved in the conversations. One of our goals, future goals, is to try to put together some how-tos, more detailed how-tos, more detailed intro threads for brand new riders who've never been out of the grass. We experienced that last year. This year we tried to cater to them. We had a couple easy rides. So if you're not a member of our club, HondaSideBySide.com, it's HondaSXS.com, and recently HondaSideBySide.com is ours too. Take you there as well. If you're not a member, join up, join the conversation, and have some fun. Come ride with us sometime. We're going to be looking at putting on more rides across the country. We got some guys in Arkansas, so we got a ride planned for Utah. It's more of a destination ride. It's limited the number of people we're probably going to allow to attend just because we're testing the waters. Our biggest goal there is to keep on riding.
We are about to enter Tennessee. Look at the road, that must be the line. Now we got into Ride Royal Blue about mid-morning on Thursday with the main takeover event taking place over Friday and Saturday. Now most of Thursday was spent just setting up the toy hauler, making sure everything worked, because this was our first trip out with it. And even though we did get a little bit of riding in Thursday evening, my poor little guy was just too tired to hang in there. Now on Friday I got little Mighty Mouse out for a nice long group ride, mostly comprised of 1000s. We had one 704 and one other 500 besides mine. Because this is still technically early in the season, they were still working hard on grooming the trail, so there was a lot of sloppy, muddy areas where from the travel the past couple of days had some pretty good ruts in them. There was only a couple spots where we had a little difficulty. Like this area here where some tree roots combined with some pretty deep ruts gave a little bit of difficulty to one 704. He was able to back up, hit it with a little more speed, and he got through. Even the 1000 here you can see struggling a little bit, and that's one of the reasons why I love my 500. Because it's narrow enough, I was able to pick a line that kept me out of the ruts, and I just right up over like nothing. So our first destination for the day was an area known as Top of the World. And as you can see, the name is quite fitting to where it's at. You just get this breathtaking panoramic view of the surrounding landscape and mountains of Tennessee. After a short break, it was back onto the trail, and the trail conditions improved a little bit. They were a little nicer, less rutted up, and we were able to have a little more fun and carry a little more speed as we made our way to our second destination. Once we got there, it was time to get out, stretch our legs a little bit, and enjoy the scenery of one of Ride Royal Blue's well-known waterfalls. I tried to talk someone into diving in for me to capture on film for you guys, but no one seemed interested, including myself. That water was cold. I did, however, get my Pioneer out there for a few pics. And this is where we had to take care of really our only major breakdown of the group of the day, just a flat tire, which we were able to quickly swap out with the spare, and he was able to keep on riding the rest of the day. really was impressed with the trail system at Ride Royal Blue. Again, this was my first time going to a designated ATV and side-by-side park, so I didn't know what to expect as far as trail conditions. Now again, like I said before, this was still early in the season, so some of the trails were still a bit rough in spots. As you'll see here coming up on Saturday's ride, there was a lot of places where you actually had to detour around the main trail because of fallen trees and just big ruts that were there they hadn't had a chance to work on. But the trails were an absolute blast. It gave you a good variety of different kind of riding. So after about another hour, 2 hours worth of riding, we found ourselves at our third and final destination for the day, where we can stop and stretch our legs. And that was the Hatfield Knob Elk Viewing Tower. Now, the nice thing about this is it gave you a little bit of change of pace. You're able to get out, stretch your legs, and walk actually up to the tower, where, as you can see, it gets you up nice and high to where you'll be able to look out over the fields at any grazing elk that might be in the area. Now, unfortunately, during our visit, there wasn't many elk. There was one elk way back in the corner that you can't really see from the camera, but that was the only guy we saw there throughout the time we spent up in the tower. And once we had our fill of the scenery, it was time to load up and head back to camp. Had a good day riding with a bunch of good guys from the forum and the 500. Now it's time for a little bit of family time in the 1000. We're just going to hit some of the easy trails here and go to the kids get cranky and want to turn around and go to bed. Or until mommy and daddy gets cranky at the kids and we want to turn around and get them to bed, whichever comes first. And of course, what kid doesn't like to splash around in the water? It doesn't matter whether you're 3, 5, or 34. Now on Saturday, all the Pioneer 500 owners got together for some group riding. And there were so many 500s there this year that they had to actually break off into several small groups. Now, as much as I wanted to go along on the 500 ride, because I spent all day on Friday in it, and only got to ride with my family for about an hour or so that evening, I grabbed the wife and kids, we loaded up the 1000 and just went for a leisurely all-day ride as a family instead. Now, as with most trail systems around the nation, Ride Royal Blue has their trail system broken up into different levels of difficulty. The trail we were on here was just an easy one where we wouldn't be bouncing around the kids too much, and we could just pace ourselves and enjoy the scenery. And although we did start our day off on our own, with as many pioneers that were there, it did not take long to run into a group that was having some fun on a hill climb. Yeah, I tried to talk the wife into letting me take them up it, but she wasn't too thrilled about it with the kids in the back. I don't blame her. Now, even though this was considered one of the easiest trails, it was still fun to drive. It wasn't just flat dirt roads. It still gave you a little bit of obstacles here and there to go over. And again, because of the big ruts, some of it was a little more tricky than others, but it wasn't nothing that a rider at any skill level couldn't handle. And as I had mentioned earlier, some of the trail sections were still waiting to be groomed, so there was detour paths that went around the main trail. I did give my wife a little bit of scare here. I started to go on the left path and saw there was a tree across, so I decided to stop and back up, and amongst the backing up, I kind of had her up on 3 wheels. It wasn't anything to where we would have tipped over, but I gave my wife a little bit of a scare, I think. Now, we did set the day off with the goal of getting to want to ride Royal Blue's other waterfalls. And we were able to find it without any difficulty, with it being clearly marked on the trail map. And while we were there, another group of Pioneer owners caught up to us. We were able to talk and mingle a little bit as we visited near the waterfall. So after a good stretch of our legs at the waterfall, we continued on the trails and stuck to the easy trails for the remainder of the day. I know the kids and the wife had an absolute blast, and I enjoyed getting out there on the trails with my family and just spending a good day together. For those of you that would like to see the entire trail ride of the day, I will be uploading the whole day's ride a little later on. Now on Saturday evening, everyone that wasn't still out on the trails riding got together for a nice sit-down meal and some good old-fashioned Tennessee barbecue. And of course, after we had our bellyfuls, then it came time for the raffle drawing, where over $4,000 worth of prizes were given away.
All right, so I got a question for y'all. Have y'all had a good time? All right, so who's got a raffle ticket? Everybody? All right.
Things from light bars to whips, fire extinguishers.
6981900.
But of course, the big ticket item was a free set of tires.
All right, he's gonna take a set of tires.
And although there was several that continued to ride throughout the night on Saturday night, this pretty much was the closing to the Pioneer Takeover. Come Sunday morning, everyone was packing up, loading up their toy haulers or trailers, and heading for home. But that doesn't mean that the memories and friendships that were made throughout the weekend will soon be forgotten. That's it for 2018's Pioneer Takeover. Good times with some good trails, some good friends. If I don't see you next year, I'll see you online. So until next time, keep on riding. Appalachian Mountain Riders is brought to you in part by the following. The Honda Side-by-Side Club, because who knows the machines better than the owners that use them every day. Walker Evans Racing. When the path requires more than just ordinary, head on over to walkerevansracing.com. Torque Locker from Torque Masters Industries. When you want to explore the unexplored, head on over to torquemasters.com. And by my gracious supporters on Patreon.